Welcome to this week's Down Home with Tina. I have got a fella coming up. We are going to talk about celebrating life, and he has done a lot of volunteering and working with a organization here in town. And it's just because, you know, the holidays are really, really tough for some folks when you have a loved one that has passed on. And he and I are going to talk about that and celebrating life in a positive way. As positive as we can possibly do it, because you know I like to keep things positive on the Down Home with Tina show. And then also I have Corey Schnoonver, the Executive Director of the Fairfield Area Humane Society. Always got things going on, and he's got some stuff to share with us, just so that way he can keep you up to date on those things. So don't go anywhere. It is Down Home with Tina.
The Frankie Smith Funeral Home and Crematory in Lancaster and the Johnson Smith Funeral Home in Baltimore have a long and wonderful history of serving our community. Feel free to give us a call at 740-653-0652. Stop in and see us at either of our two locations, 405 North Columbus Street in Lancaster and 207 South Main Street in Baltimore. Respect for tradition, regard for change.
You walked down the aisle and promised happily ever after. Sometimes happily ever after means ending a relationship. We know the conversations are not easy. Deciding what's best for you, your children, and your next steps takes work and communication. At Dagger Law, we know there are no monsters in a divorce, only people trying to find their way. Local, trusted, experienced. Dagger Law.
Okay, Dad. 1, 2, 3. You saved me. Dad?
Are you okay?
I'm fine, dear.
Your hero needs you now, and AARP is here to help. Find the care guides you need at aarp.org/caregiving.
Welcome back to Down Home with Tina. I have a special guest with me today, and he is one that goes almost as far back as what my next guest is going to be, but I don't think quite as far. Rick Schneider, you were a big part, and you always have been for I don't even know how many years, and I'm going to let you share it with Fairfield Hospice.
Oh, yeah. Well, I started as a volunteer in March 1997.
Okay, I was born.
Okay.
I'm teasing.
I didn't think the word, to be honest. I'm thinking, wow, she wasn't even born. Your parents are in grade school.
Yes. Yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, that's, and I tell a story. I was reading the paper on a Sunday afternoon, just nothing else to do, and there was a little 1-inch ad, hospice seeking volunteers, 654-7077. And in my mind, in my head, there's nothing else in there. And I go, that's it. I've got to do it. And there is no other reason. Most of our volunteers have had experienced a family on service, and they want to say thanks. And it's nice, and they do. They've been there, and usually it's about a year before they can come back. But I was just lit up. I don't know what it was. And once I got graduated, we have a training course, and I'd say, hey, I'm a hospice volunteer. And they go, oh, that's so morbid. How can you do that? And my in fact, my first live patient, if you will, the first one passed before I could visit. He was comatose.
Oh.
And in a nursing home, and his wife wanted me to read to him. They believe people can still hear, and they can. And so, okay, and she's hinted the Bible. Well, he was well known. He knew Jack Nicklaus. He was very famous. And so I figured he'd probably want to hear some jokes or some humor. He's in sales and marketing.
Yeah.
And that's part of sales and marketing, and jokes. And over the years, I had collected jokes. I have a good memory, it's just short. So I tried to write down, and I had them on 8.5 by 11, cocktail napkins, anything I could think of. I put them in a binder. I think, well, I could bring those in and read jokes to them.
Aww.
And so I did. You know, a guy walks into a bar and says, ouch. Yeah, you know, all these walks in a bar jokes, you know, knock jokes, yeah. All the stuff. And he was just laying there, and I started telling him Rodney Dangerfield jokes. And, you know, a lot of them are kind of left of center, but, you know, he says like his wife, he met his wife at the front door wearing a negligee. He said, unfortunately, she was coming home.
Oh, no.
You know, it was just, you know.
Yeah, that was the
yeah.
comedian. That,
Once
yes.
Rodney Dangerfield come, I noticed his toes moving. I'm going, holy cow. My kids, when they heard it, they thought he was trying to get up and run. But, you know, the fact was, we had fun in his last days of life. And from then on, I started learning this. What we do is incredible.
Absolutely, Rick. And I know that one of the times that I had interviewed you, it was, after the interview, I don't even know if it was days, weeks, or months, but I walked into a shop in downtown Lancaster, and I was sharing my interview with somebody, and a stranger was standing a few feet from me, and he says, "Oh, I heard you. You mean the comment about at the end of your life, you would want somebody to have a celebration of your life rather than be sad." And I go, absolutely. And then I was like, oh my goodness, that was really, really cool that many years ago that somebody actually heard me say that, because that to me is what I want people to do, is to remember me by. That is celebrating my life, not be sad, not be, because it is the inevitable, we all know. But Rick, it is the hardest time of going through. And it's maybe a loved one who's passed on, their date of their birth is going to be a hard day for them.
Yeah.
The holidays have got to be the biggest. And that coming up, I've known just within the last 3 weeks, 4 people. 4 people that have passed right before the holidays. And that has got to be the hardest. But what you were saying was, yeah, being with them and celebrating their life is what is so important.
Yeah, what Fair Hope does is we bring the life to completion. It doesn't stop.
Celebrate it to the very end.
Yeah, we do, and we do so many things. But, you know, you're right about the holidays, and in my own experience, my dad died in April, years ago. And we went through the grieving, not we went through it, but, you know, by October, we were getting used to it, if you want to call it that. And then came Thanksgiving. That was the first big holiday. And we were sitting at the table, and it was like a brick wall. Who do we set Dad's plate? Do we let the chair empty? Do we just somebody else sit there and forget it never happened? It just hit us blindsided. And then Christmas, Dad always did things on New Year's Eve or Christmas Eve, and then away we went. We went right back to, I wish he was here, and what do we do? It can be very difficult. And what we do is we address that, and I think probably the most important thing during the holidays, if you don't want to do anything, don't.
Yeah.
Just don't. You know, people say you'll get involved, you know, get it off your mind.
Don't force it, in other words.
Don't force it. If they don't want to, offer it, we're having a party or something. If they don't want to, fine. And Christmas is the worst. Thanksgiving, you have just a little bit of preparing the food, maybe buying the food a week ahead, you know, that you eat. There's no template of Thanksgiving.
And some people, they do, especially if it is a spouse that has passed away and they've been married, say, a year or 30 years, they think, oh, we've got to keep mom or dad busy. We've got to keep them busy. Ask them.
Yeah.
And mom and dad have to remember, mom or dad, they have to remember, it is okay to tell your loved ones that you don't feel up to it this year.
Absolutely.
You would rather just have peace at home. It'll be too much. Don't think you're going to hurt somebody else's feelings, because I would hope, and this is why we're talking about this today, we want the families to understand that it's okay for mom or dad to be that way.
Yeah, it's
Let them
perfectly
and allow
natural.
them. Yeah, natural.
Yeah, because people say, oh, I know how you feel. No, you don't. Because my dad, you know, if somebody else's dad died, they don't know the relationship I had with my dad. They don't know how close we were or how far we were. It's not the same. And I know people want to say things. Many times it's better to say nothing than have to keep filling the air with voice, you know.
And that's me. I want people to talk.
Well, that's,
so I am. I'm that person, but
some
some don't. Yeah, some would rather just let it be quiet. But I like people around. But it doesn't mean that it may come to a time or a moment where I'll say, no, right now I want quiet. And it may seem unusual for somebody like me to say that, because I always want people.
Yeah,
but under the circumstances, it may very well be exactly what I need, or mom and dad would need at that time.
Yeah.
And you know what? In the middle of the day, they may call you up and say, I changed my mind.
Oh, sure.
And you know what? Accommodate them. Bring them a plate of food, or pick them up, or have them come over.
Yeah.
Yes.
And they can,
be
if they want to
for the
leave.
unexpected. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead, Rick.
If they want to leave, go ahead. you know, if somebody wants to take them home, if all of a sudden it's too much.
Yes.
Yeah, you know, or they're being, I don't say shunned, but nobody wants to say, I sure miss Steve, you know, and people always, you know, along this line, speaking of remembering people, my daughter's best friend died in a car accident in high school. And so I saw her mom and dad at the art walk 17 years after that happened. And I just came up and said, oh, I miss Heather. And she goes, thank you. Oh. Nobody has said that, like I forgot who Heather was. And I remember her after 17 years, and that showed to her somebody else remembered her daughter. That was so important for her to hear somebody say her daughter's name without being prodded. And
just had something happen recently in the community, and one of my daughter's friends, I remember her telling me that she was like, they are avoiding her.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
And she's like, don't avoid me. I don't want to be avoided.
Yeah. Well,
so, you know, we may not know what to say. What are some of the things to say, Rick, to somebody who is grieving and devastation?
Yeah.
Kind of grieving.
You can bring up their name. I mean, I think they want to hear the name, much more than forget it. They can't forget it. That's why they're grieving. And maybe let them reminisce again, the same stories again. It's so important to them. But, you have to be able to read them. If they don't want to talk, it's okay to help out, you know, especially men. Men do things, go out and wash the car, do something, then they'll casually mention stuff. A friend of mine just lost his wife. I've known her for years, last 2 weeks. And he's not much about talking about her, but we talk about work, his work, and then his wife's name comes up and we can talk. You know, men generally aren't too forward with it.
And also, I think that it's okay to ask, hey, is it okay to talk about, you know, Bob today?
Yeah.
You know, or just, is that, you know, just to make sure that they are okay with it. And they may say absolutely, and they may say not today.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah,
and don't be offended. That's the biggest thing, because I easily get my feelings hurt, you know, because you may be ready to say, hey, let's talk about Dad's favorite things, and then Mom may say, I don't want to today.
And I probably avoid, if you need anything, just call me. I've heard that so many times in different scenarios. The intention is good, but maybe go over to their house, knock on the door, and can I do your laundry? Can I'd like to help you with the dishes, or can I just come in for a minute? Because a lot of people don't want to ask for that reason. They don't want to be put in an awkward situation, but just to come in and notice, can we both do the dishes? Just something an activity to show, yes, if you need anything, just call me. Nobody's called. And what happens, especially the first 6 months, there's a little more intense contact with people. But after 6 months or a year, you should be over it. And everybody pretends the person never happened. That's like when I'm mentioning a daughter.
Yeah, we don't want that.
No, and Fair Hope, when we do the grief, the big stuff happens about a year, the first anniversary. That's when all of a sudden, I guess it sinks in. They're not coming back. It sinks in that we will never, even though they know the person had passed, we're never going to. And it really gets hard and nobody brings them up anymore. They're gone. You know, it sounds cruel, but that's what happens.
I was having coffee at one of our downtown restaurants, and there was a fella. I'm just sitting there in a meeting with a friend, and I look over, and he's got a photograph of his loved one, and I'm going to assume at this point that she had just passed, or I don't know, I can't say just. It may have been an anniversary that they did this every year, went to, you know, this place or whatever. But, and he had a cup of coffee sitting there, and he had her, and I did all I could to keep from crying. And I don't know if I should have, what should I have done? Should I have just let him have his time with that, or should I have gone over and said something? Yeah, you know, what do we do? Because I was like, okay, Tita. I was just kind of like, don't cry, don't cry.
Well,
don't cry.
Although if he would have saw that, he would have appreciated it. I know it's awkward, especially with men, you know. But they have, you know, it's called grief bursts. You know, and I remember I was in front of church greeting people as a church usher. We greet people when they come in. And my dad had been gone about 4 months, passed away. And one of the parishioners said, I just found out about your dad. I'm so sorry. My lips started quivering. I started crying. I said, wow, I haven't cried in probably 3 months, yes, when he died. But then, you know, here we go, I was 23 when he died. And so I had a wife and, you know, more or less going on. But that little grief burst just came out of the blue with that. He kind of brought it on, but some people just start crying.
And you know,
perfectly normal.
Well, yeah, and I think of it, I should have gone over and said, is it okay if I sit down?
Sure.
And he may have been very open to that
Yeah.
and say, you know, and ask questions. Because if he would have allowed me to sit down, of course, I'm sure he would have been open for conversation for what he was there for.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't even think about that until just now. But again, he may have said, no, thank you. And I would have just gone on my happy merry way. We haven't even talked about your books or anything.
Oh.
You are an author. I had mentioned that. So you have done 2 books. I know, we're going on. I said, folks, I used to interview Rick, and we could talk for 40 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
Like, ongoing. You have a couple of books that you have written, and they all are about what you have been going and experiencing and volunteering for all these years, aren't they?
I was at, we had the a veterans program at Olivedale. So I was going in there and signing in, and the lady goes, did you write in the Town Crier? I go, yeah. She goes, I love those articles. And this is like 3 years since I've written them, 4 years. And they really had an effect. And what those 2 books are is like Chicken Soup for the Soul or Reader's Digest. They're all separate stories, mostly my experience of what I've had as a volunteer. And then when I was talking about the man who's in a coma, that's in there, you know, just, and they're kind of grouped by before you call, you know, what's hospice? Oh, you're not going to get me there. And I explain how we celebrate life. And then while you're on service, and then the grief, and then in the Simple Human Compassion, I describe the dying process. And to let people know that, you know, I always do in cowboy movies and stuff, they took a drink out of the canteen and died, you know. Well, there's a long process to it.
Right.
So I explained that, but both of them, because when I was a volunteer, I would hear so many, oh, that's so sad, I could never do that. I loved it. I saw what we did, the purpose, we helped people live instead of trying not to die.
Right.
You know, and people say we fought it in a great, brave fight to the end. That's fine, that's their choice. We're kind of like that rest stop on 33 going to Logan. You can take that or you can just keep on going. It's your choice. We don't, and you can sign off for no reason, anytime.
How do folks get your book, Rick?
Amazon, or I got them called BR549. That's an older joke. But where were we? But yeah, you can call me. It's in the book. My phone number, 65470-475-8824. Help me with that, would you?
Let me see, where is it in
questions. Here? Yeah. But, you know, it's on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and different stores on, you know, on the internet.
Perfect.
And, you know, That's Good Grease came from a lady who actively stood up. At the end of life, sometimes there's a burst of energy. The spirit's ready to go, the body isn't. She sat up and she wanted a bacon double cheeseburger. And her daughter
My
was there.
kind of gal.
Yeah. Yeah, one last for the road. We've been in Donut World so many times. But the long story short, when she got up, she wanted to taste the bacon. So what they did is crumpled bacon into little tiny bits, put the bacon bits in one bowl of a spoon, and that's on the cover, and pressed the spoons together. And then they put it right up on her lip, and she goes, oh, that is such good grease. I kept thinking, you know, there's got to be a better title, you know, and it's somewhat, and I thought, once you read it, it's perfect what we do.
Wonderful.
And then the other one, Simple Human Compassion, we do nothing spectacular. Give people bacon grease. I mean, sign me up, you know. But all we do is what they want.
Right.
We serve, we don't leave.
Perfect.
So, yeah, they're both $15 each.
All right.
And they're doing well. And Tina doesn't know that yet, but the Good Grease, or not Good Grease,
Simple Human Compassion.
Thank you. It's got signed it for you.
Oh, you signed. Oh, thank you.
So,
yay! Thank you very much.
Yeah, the first, second page.
Oh, the second page. Thank you.
I don't want to tell people I have to charge you for that. I don't just give out.
Oh, I'll have to charge you for all of it.
The
signature and everything. Rick, thank you so much for everything. I'll have to have you come back again because I know we can continue on and talk more about.
Yeah, we were just getting warmed
things.
up.
I know we were. That was the warm up. Now we're ready to talk. No, I'm joking. Thank you so much, Rick, for your time and for being with me. Folks, don't go anywhere. I've got a fella coming up next. It's Down Here with Tina.
Can I visit my doctor online?
Our providers offer telehealth appointments that fit your schedule, allowing you to get the care you need when you need it. Whatever you're searching for, you can find it at Fairfield Medical Center.
What makes Fair Hope what it is our staff. It's always a question that we ask, why do you want to be here with us? And what they most always say is, you've touched my life this way. You know, you took care of this person, or I've seen what you've done and I want to do that. And so the staff that have been here know what it takes. They've been on the other side. They see what it takes to make someone comfortable, to make the family comfortable, and really what kind of support they need. And so I think that's what really makes Fair Hope what it is.
Hi, I'm Amanda Wattenberg, Regional Director at Ohio Guidestone. Do you or does someone you know have a substance abuse disorder? Have you been thinking about getting help, but don't know where to start? It takes a lot of courage to ask for help, but it's the most important step you can take. If you think you know everything that's available in Fairfield County, think again. Like other chronic diseases, addiction can be managed successfully. Treatment enables people to counteract addiction's powerful, disruptive effects on the brain's behavior and regain control of their lives. Even if it takes multiple attempts, treatment does work and people do recover from addiction every day. So keep trying because your life matters. You matter, and we're here to help. Call 211 and ask for the treatment resources available right here in Fairfield County.
This message is brought to you by the Fairfield County Adam H. Board.
There's so many rewards in life. You coming into our home was one of the greatest rewards we could have ever had.
You know, it took 20 years and I got my third child who was 17 at the time.
It's so cool to watch the adult that you've become, and you really have done as much for us as you think we've done for you.
Down Home with Tina is brought to you by these amazing sponsors. I have got Corey Schnoonver with me. He is the Executive Director of the Fairfield Area Humane Society, and he has supported the Down Home with Tina show, the Humane Society, as well as I, in return. I just love what you guys do over there. Corey, you are continuing to grow and grow and grow, as well as that gives you the opportunity to bring in more animals that need to find those forever homes. What's new? What's new now? Because there's always something new, which I love brains like you have, because you are continuing to grow in a good, positive way to help the animals, which it really helps the community because of the ways that you are growing with what you guys offer at the Humane Society. With that, of course, is the vet clinic and all of the good stuff.
Growing pains is what I'm feeling right now. It's not, you know, it's not a bad thing. I mean, sometimes, especially when you and I are talking, and if you haven't noticed, you're always very cheery, and
and I gotta bring forward some
and that
cheer.
helps, because sometimes I'm like, oh man, I gotta pep it up a little bit, and it's not, you know, it can be frustrating. Look, I mean, the growing is necessary, it's needed. The ultimate goal is to help as many animals as possible, right? So, but with that comes its challenges, and some days I think I can lose sight of the whole, you know, because of the growing pain. Sometimes it can be a little frustrating. And I'm just being real about it, you know what I mean? I could sit here and talk about puppies and kittens and rainbows all day long, but it is a challenge in what we do.
So how many people were on staff when you first started as executive director?
I like to call it 4.5.
Okay, and then you go from 4.5 to what is it now?
22.
Okay, so that in itself is the reason why it becomes more challenging. You have more things to, maybe problems to resolve at times, or things to, you know, kind of fix and make better. And it just, it is what it is what comes when you are growing.
Right, absolutely. And the growing pains, some of those are good, some of those aren't so good. But I think, you know, the support that we need and receive, we receive great support from the community, and that helps make it through the growing pains in terms of it's recognize what we're doing. It's so our membership letter that we send out every year about this time, you'll start seeing it in the mail pretty soon around Thanksgiving. it's the 13th year that I've written this membership letter, and I'm very candid in those to the point where you should pretty well know me if you've been reading those over the years. And this year I started with, this is the 13th year, and it's getting harder and harder to write these things. And what I meant by that is there's so much that we have going on. There's so much news to share. There's so much thanks to spread around that it's very hard to get it on one sheet of paper, if that makes any sense. So this is really that time of year where we shine. You know, holiday time, giving season, it's very important for us, and you know, it's why I like to come on and talk to you about those new things. So
what's new?
Let's talk.
So holidays coming up.
Yeah, holidays.
So for folks who are wanting to maybe adopt, is it a good time or is it a bad time? And what is, you know, the pros and cons of that?
I think my answer to this question has evolved over our time together. I think any time of the year is a good time to adopt. I think it really, is it a good time for you as an individual to adopt really depends on your situation.
And probably your time schedule to spend with the pet. If you get time off around the holidays, absolutely. Don't do it as a gift to surprise somebody. There are those things to look at.
Yeah, I'm still not a fan of the surprise gift giving of an animal. I mean, the gift that keeps on giving can be seen positively or negatively, and I think when you make those decisions, it's a family decision. It's something that everyone really needs to be prepared of. I mean, I'm never going to say no, it's not a good time for you to adopt, but that's also why we're there to really get you in there.
Yes.
Let you see, and then we really talk about it. So when we talk to groups of kids, like when I go on school visits or kids are coming in, we really talk about, you know, what it takes to care for an animal. And then the holidays just throws a whole different thing in it. Maybe your school schedule is different, so you have time to integrate an animal into the family. But then on the flip side, you may have vacation or you may have family visitors, and then you know, so it's really, I think, differs based on your family situation.
So even talk to you guys about it. Come in and talk to you guys about it if they've got questions or anything. And I know holidays, you got to be careful with the foods and
plants,
candies and plants and all of that, because I know we're almost out of time.
If you have cats or rambunctious dogs, it might be a great time to figure out how to anchor your tree to the wall.
Okay. That's his best advice.
Like, if you ever, you know, you could watch YouTube videos all day of that happening. So a little bit of anchoring your tree to the wall, that's my my one tip for the day.
For the holiday this year. Corey, fairhumane.org is the website. What is your other contact information?
Give us a call, 740-687-0627, or like you said, fairhumane.org. Follow us on Facebook. I think we're on all of the social media pages, but you can really get an idea of what we have available, services we offer, all of that good stuff.
Yeah. Oh, and one more really quick thing. You guys have a new groomer?
Yeah. Yeah, we've added a third again. Working on that. We are actually, I'm hiring in the vet clinic, so if you're looking for a job with animals, that also includes with people. Wink, wink. Check me out.
That's right. Thank you so much, Corey.
You're welcome.
Folks, I hope that you have a great one. It is Down Home with Tina. And I've got, oh, by the way, a special for you next week. So make sure you tune in. It's Down Home with Tina. God bless and good day.